One reason I play video games is for that pure emotion behind a product. I love these gripping stories where a character or group of people experience so much and see a whole lot of change by the end credits. Bring me to the brink of tears or put me in a state of constant horror and anxiety. It puts me into a world that I would always dream of as a kid, wishing I could be in. It helps alleviate from the real life at times to experience something truly one of a kind. So anyways, this game's about a 27-year-old loser living in his apartment who is obsessed with anime and pro wrestling and has a cute little cat. Then one day he buys a Temu lightsaber to enter a competition where a seductive European woman may or may not sleep with him after killing 11 crazy individuals, duels to the death. I have anime. I have a sword. And I have a cat. Now where do I meet the hot women in my area? I love a serious game, but I also love when a game is just ridiculous. You have to match the energy of the type of game you really want to create. A goofy concept taken too seriously or the inverse just doesn't hit right. So if your concept setting and execution is just absolutely unhinged, well, go wild. Enter NoMoreHeroes, a game that released on the Wii at a time where Nintendo games were peak baby mode. Wii was known for party games and family-friendly stuff, while Xbox and PlayStation had stuff like GTA or Call of Duty. No, I really didn't have this game upon release. It wasn't until I became obsessed with gaming YouTube where I discovered many different franchises to obsess over. NoMoreHeroes was one of them. Teenage Josh listening to a lot of Hollywood Undead and wanting to play a game where you kill people for sex? Abso-frickin-lutely. It turns out that this is a fantastic game in a fantastic series with a small lineup of titles in its holster. It is surprising it hit its stride in the first place, but I guess why? And how? Once again, a mature audience was on a different console, and on the Wii you were competing with the same people who played Carnival Games, Wii Music, and Mythmakers Trixie and Toyland. Still trying to figure out why I spend money on these games, but I digress. Let's get into it. This is going to be NoMoreHeroes. This game was released for the Wii in 2007, so let's dive in.
It's game time!
Suda51 is a wild-ass dude. His game creations always push a boundary. It seems you can really never expect vanilla in that mixed flavor he creates. Real name is Goichi Suda, a Japanese video game designer who is also the founder of Grasshopper Manufacturer. His most notable work may be indeed the NoMoreHeroes series, but he has credit for a lot of other games before and after. Killer 7, Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned, and of course, Liberation Maiden. That game will forever live rent-free in my head. No idea what it's about. His games all share many similarities, mainly going for a humorous adventure with serious undertones and base messaging, clashing ideals, and modern worldviews. A lot of pop culture inspiration has also fallen to the games, given heavy inspiration for the work he has created. You see inspiration and familiarity to anything from general video games and anime, to pro wrestling and other sports, Quentin Tarantino films, German author Franz Kafka's surreal works, and British punk rock bands from the 90s. Of course, all this can be translated to the title for today's subject. NoMoreHeroes itself had an interesting development. This actually was planned for an Xbox 360 title. The Wii was the new target once the decision was finally made to focus Wii motion controls for its combat. Speaking of, the primary weapon, the beam katana, was not based off the franchise Star Wars. Suda says it was actually ripped from the movie Spaceballs, the parody of Star Wars. I still think that means inspiration is based initially off the original concept, but whatever floats your boat. That'd be like saying I made a song called Incel's Paradise based off of Weird Al's Amish Paradise and not Coolio's Gangster Paradise. It doesn't really matter. The plot focused on social issues with a twist of everything else tied in. The location of Santa Destroy, for example, was based off of San Diego, California, but specifically from the movie Dirty Harry. The ranking system used in the ranking battles was taken from an odd Mexican Western film in the 80s known as El Topo, where the battles and ranks there went from 4 to the 10 we see in game. Travis Touchdown himself was heavily inspired by Johnny Knoxville of Jackass. Many character designs were also just pulled from real-life actors or other celebrities. Fictional anime created as well was taken from shows like Space Runway Ideon for the mecha anime, and the magical girl designs were from Pretty Cure. There's more anime inspiration that comes from the fighting and battles that you see in the game, with his work on previous anime tie-in games like Samurai Champloo and Blood Plus. Finally, the name itself was taken from an album title from the UK punk band The Stranglers, sharing the same name. It is a collage of way too much shit. It's crazy how this all ended up in game as well. Once Suda was done mad-libbing all the source material he wanted to use, the game got to work. Artist Yusuke Kazaki took the helm, a really unique artist to me. His stuff always stands out. He's done plenty of works for Fire Emblem like Awakening, Fates, and Heroes, done Daemon X Machina, the AI series, and has contributed designs to games like Tekken 7, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the Pokemon series including Go, and then Gen 8 and 9. The disconnect I feel of a Pokemon like Reverum compared with any of the No More Heroes cast is very funny to me. Suda allegedly wanted to make this game so violent it hit or surpassed the high of Manhunt 2. If you know anything about that game, you are probably aware of it having the dishonor of having one of the select few games that received an AO adult-only rating by the ESRB. These ones always get controversial as politicians and other virtue signalers go up in arms over the concept alone. Now typically AO games are only for hyper-violent games featuring excessive amounts of gore, or the flip side being so hyper-sexual, they are more or less porn games, or they have that really cool super awesome mechanic that totally is not a crime, maybe rhyming with grape. Now Manhunt 2 got censored originally, and honestly so few groups wanted to publish, stock, or be associated with AO games, so it's for the best I didn't really go this route. No, the game got censored a bit across the world though. Now the game never had Mortal Kombat levels of viscera spewing from a decapitation, but the puffs of blood clouds and coins are changed to black smoke-like stuff depending on your version. Now the game was released for the Wii initially, and the reviews were rather positive. Many points, like the game's combat design and humor, were among the high points. Sales did not hit super strong highs initially. Japan saw a pretty low debut week, and North America and Europe spiked a bit. But Suda was not taken aback from this. Already mentioned was the Wii, the family-friendly console that was casual bait and a point of criticism for toxic teenagers. The planned Xbox release or on a Sony console would have probably helped sales due to the more mature gaming audience we saw in those, especially in this period. And well, that indeed happened later on. In 2011, a remake was ported to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 dubbed No More Heroes: Heroes Paradise. This saw HD graphics and lack of motion controls, of course, but the rest stayed the same. Also, why is this game so shiny? It kinda hurts. Now it has its own series and created the niche called classic status in the online gaming sphere. When the ports of 1 and 2 came out on Switch, I saw a lot of buzz for them, and the sales were reportedly very good. And thus we stand as probably the most iconic series we see under Suda and Grasshopper. Threw out a lot here, but it does go into a rather interesting game, I feel. One that holds up from the Wii and the current consoles as well. So let's see what this world was finally all about. The game's flashy intro sets up the story rather quick and jets us into the action right away. Let us break it down here. This is Travis Touchdown, a 27-year-old stereotype of an otaku, obsessed with mecha, magical girls, and wrestling. He lives out of a motel in the town Santa Destroy, California. He doesn't seem to have a stable job, virtually no friends, save from his buddy Bishop, who works at a nearby video store selling crappy porn movies. Using all his saved-up money, he buys a beam katana from an online auction and has his weapon of choice when running into a mysterious beauty, Sylvia Crystal. A job was offered from Sylvia for the assassination of a man known as the Drifter. He meets up with the Drifter, known as Helter Skelter, and cuts him down for some nice cash. Sylvia explains that Skelter was among a group of assassins from the UAA, or United Assassins Association. Sylvia seems to be a sort of liaison for these organized group of killers. Each hold a rank of sorts, but for now, Travis earns the rank of 11 for the assassination of Helter Skelter. This is a sort of motivation for Travis as he gains ambitions to reach the top of UAA, rank 1. We are thrust into the grand entrance of Travis to the abode of death metal, the 10th ranked assassin. This man seems wealthy and has an abundance of private security to guard his beachside mansion, forcing us into our first level. That is the gist of story shown off for the first little cutscene we get. Travis of course has the personality here to give you the exact idea how this game will go. He's arrogant, horny, quip-filled nerd with a rather foul mouth. Travis has his signature weapon, of course, the beam katana, working fundamentally as a lightsaber or plasma beam sword looking weapon. You get a tutorial of fighting, rather basic slashes and whatnot. Included are punching and kicking, which can be used to stun an enemy or go into a wrestling combo for mad damage. I could assume plans of a port or science to a later switch than normal occurred, as there isn't much motion controls as you could assume. This is not Skyward Sword or Redsteel, no, most attacks are used with the face buttons. Wrestling combos and finishers with the sword are simple swipes in the arrow directions. The other biggest motion is charging the beam katana. There is a battery that you have to be vigilant on or else your attacks more or less are useless. And in the game's nature, you of course jerk yourself off to charge the sword. Did you think there'd be a mature jester? I do see the controls as a very good choice regardless. It not only helps with the integration for other consoles, but lacking any over-reliance on motion helps with easing people in. Love or hate the motion controls on the Wii, I feel it still holds this sort of divisive talking point later on. It helped pull sales, don't get me wrong, but very few games really hit a perfect control scheme without feeling overly forced or contrived. This is similar to the DS and touch controls or using the Wii U's gamepad. Always being forced to do these gimmicks may kind of suck in the long run, but in this era, I think it works. QuickTime events were also abundant in the games of the era. I go straight to something like God of War for the QuickTime event finishers. The long and short is that I like it, and I feel it gets past Big Corpo in regard to using the main mechanic of the console while also being easily adjustable for that long haul. Well, we are back at the mansion after Sidetrack City. The levels are mostly linear paths with a hack and slash style of cut down every mook in existence. Sometimes progression is blocked because you need to fight every enemy in the room first. Aside from that though, there are some unique quirks in most levels, but used in a one-time stunt for the most part. At the final stretch of this level is a phone call from our lovely Sylvia, where after a verbal beatdown we take a shit and save for our ranking fight.
This house, we call it dropping a save.
I'll get back to the Latin a little bit, but after his death, Sylvia and the cleaning crew arrive. This gives Travis the title of rank 10 in the association. The catch that we see here is that alongside the ascension to the top, Travis is putting himself in a spotlight being in the organization. What was in the fine print, so to speak, is the rules of the UAA. This is an organization ran by people who are a little bit different from other assassins seen in video games. The rules are: battle adjacent numbers to your own rank. No skipping. Fights are set up by the organization after paying a fee. Winning a fight has you take the title of the loser if higher in rank. Those below you can challenge you for the rank as well. Many could be like Travis too, cocky bastards who now want his head. Travis feels a bit set up in this regard, but now is promised with potential sex with Sylvia upon reaching rank 1. He seeks to rise up in the ranks, so his penis shall rise at— why the fuck did I write that? This sets us in our game officially. Back at the motel, Travis has wired a set amount of money needed for the rankings then on. The amounts are quite absurdly high, something that was clearly free prior, or the amount was offset by the reward money. These are hundreds of thousands of dollars, or LBs. Are they like pounds, like UK currency? Travis calls them LBs quite literally in a cutscene, so I have no clue.
What? 150,000 LBs?
Your entry fee, my overhead costs.
Someone else the internet can figure out the conversion rate to freedom bucks. Anyways, we can't take on smaller contract killings, but we need an introductory ticket first to get past the totally ethical business. These are obtained by doing part-time jobs. All your favorites are here, from coconut collecting, lawn mowing, gas pumping, junk disposal, and exterminator. These use a variety of controls, oftentimes incorporating some motion as well here. They are tedious, and probably intentionally so, as well as making significantly less as our soon-to-see assassin missions. Once a ticket is obtained, we can turn them in for the contract killings. They are fighting missions with a set of rules netting high wads of cash. Back and forth here is honestly not too bad. I like some of the part-time jobs as well as the missions. This is all accessed on the overworld of Sand to Destroy, which is empty. Yeah, the world is pretty fun to drive in for a bit. Travis has a giant-ass bike and hitting random civilians is funny, but there is little to do aside from some collectibles. The other places to hit up are pretty small, and many lie close to the motel or in other key locations. I mean, one whole side of the map is straight up empty. So what's it for? Well, we have Naomi's shop, an extremely hot scientist who upgrades Travis's beam katana. She is the weapons vendor and sells all parts for fighting. These cost an arm and a leg once you get going, but you'll want them as you'll need all 4 katanas for the ending of the game. There is our trainer for the game, Thunder Ryu. He runs a gym where Travis can upgrade several attributes. Ryu is the mentor for Travis alongside another character, but it seems as though this is where Travis learned how to fight in the first place. Ryu's methods are questionable, but the stats go up all the same. There is a clothes shop for some accessories, as well as exploring the city to find more clothes and various dumpsters. The other collectible is Lavakov balls. For collecting enough of these balls and giving them to the local drunk Russian man at a bar, he will give Travis some really good abilities at the cost of more questionable training montages. Overall, the gameplay loop is fresh enough that, after your typical ranking battle, you do some side jobs for bum-ass corporate, kill some people, and get any and all upgrades that you so desire. For many, the biggest turnoff may be navigating the world, as there's really no fast travel. As I stated, I didn't actually mind the city initially, but later on it got a lot more tedious. My favorite hack, though, is to launch yourself into the river or ocean. This resets Travis and his bike back to the motel, so a handy little hack for you gamers out there, by the way. Going back to characters specifically, they are the undeniable standout. From designs to personality and of course the inevitable fights. Death Metal is actually a rather cool fellow, despite the earlier synopsis skipping over him like a middle child. He's an old English assassin, weary and tired of the life he lives. While the pre-fight cutscene is rather limited for personality, so to speak, it's a battle itself that really elevates the dynamic we see for both Death Metal and Travis himself. Travis monologues about how this man seemingly has everything, living in a seaside mansion, drinking away on his private beach, the unlimited money supply for food, bodyguards, and women at his beck and call. How much of it is true? Well, not a whole lot is actually certain. It feels the way somebody idolizes a celebrity status from what stardom truly is. What we see at the very least is Death Metal just defending his title again. From his perspective, Travis is nothing more than another arrogant piece of shit to try to seek glory. From a general understanding, you could assume that Death Metal is constantly on the defense of his title, being near the bottom. He gets some of the most fighting in the assassin business here, if looking purely from a ranking match perspective. It is portrayed in the weary and annoyed angle we see. I find it a great contrast and introduction to our main lead here. Travis wants what Death Metal has. Mr. Metal has it all, but is simply over the life of luxury he allegedly lives. It brings me to theorize that he was like Travis in his younger years. It is very well possible, and the lack of many characters' backstory is helpful to theorycraft. It shows at least that age-old idea of money isn't everything, and would act as a warning for Travis if he had any intelligence. Of course, a word here used is paradise. This is used a lot as a metaphorical place that has no tangible description in the series. Travis alludes that the perspective of Death Metal is his paradise, where Death Metal himself retorts,
"Dream, old man. Time to wake up."
This is no paradise.
All right, then what is it?
A place to die.
After all his years, he hasn't found paradise and only has ruled out what clearly isn't. I feel like it's a lot to pull from what isn't said in game and showed through even just vocal delivery here. I love it. Death Metal is a great introductory boss from a writing standpoint and pretty okay as a fight. I think it's a solid tutorial boss, but overall doesn't rock any boats. Moving into rank number 9 is another interesting character to witness. This is Dr. Peace. He shows up as a rather charming individual off-rip. When Travis meets him in Destroy Stadium, he's just singing karaoke, just living in the moment.
Thank you. Mighty kind of you.
We get some backstory for the guy, as Dr. Peace is a Native American detective skilled in gunslinging and, of course, is a hitman on the side of it all. While marriage issues are abundant, he clearly has a list of traits displayed, mainly doing with murder. He uses his connections and takes advantage of the corruption to take out people. Above it all, he enjoys taking their lives as well. We see Travis and him come to a consensus with this. This probably factored into it, but there's a large personal strain in his relationships, where his daughter refuses to acknowledge him or look him in the eye, and made awkward conversation with his ex-wife over dinner. It shows it's probably most definitely linked to the kills he's carried out. Other than those tidbits, we don't really get anything else, as the stories he would most likely have aren't shared as the two begin their duel. This also brings into light another aspect with the overall narrative. As Sylvia drops the info dump on Dr. Peace, she drops the whopping bill for the ranking fight seemingly out of nowhere. It seemingly caught Travis by surprise, and even more so that this was the first time payment was asked. Dr. Peace offhandedly mentions that the arena was his choice, as well as getting a fancy dinner for his family funded by the UAA. Travis links that the $150,000 entry bill was the benefactor here, but doesn't really get much more time to dwell on it. It does display the overall ties the association holds with sway in the city. If not anything, they take their assassins very seriously and will vacate entire baseball stadiums to have two men fight to the death. The shit the cleaning crew probably has to take to the grave. Peace is an overall enjoyable character to witness. For the narrative, it sets up other plot points, but has not much else after that. Design and personality hold a lot here, as I feel he comes across as immediately likable from an antagonist point of view. Moving up past rank 9, though, is our battle with number 8, one Shinobu Jacobs. It has many surprising twists here, as once we pay the bill, we are told to head to the high school. Of course, at the end of our level, we come face to face with a high school student. Shinobu here is an 18-year-old samurai enjoyer who has been taking part in the assassin ranks while hiding her identity from the school. It was a bit of a shock to Travis in more ways than one, especially that she kills 3 classmates for simply overhearing the ranking match conversations after Travis shows up. They walk to a more secluded area, and while Travis tries to get a feel for her reasons and ethics, it is cut off cold. She is clearly uninterested and seemingly annoyed, especially as she feels judged for her identity hiding. I could guess the idea of her being the youngest assassin by far in the UAA and a woman clearly has her putting up some defensive barriers. Once in the shed, she gets only more enraged once the weapons are drawn. Seeing the beam katana, she claims Travis is the murderer of her father. Travis is initially confused, thinking it to be a cliched samurai trope and her just being way too into anime, which is unfathomably ironic, Travis. They get into a fight, however, and luckily doesn't kill her. Most likely due to the fact, though, that the item in his hand is in fact a toy.
What's that in your hand? A toy?
God, the Shinobu fight sucks. It's overall unfun and the taunting does not help. She loves to catch you in those damn pillars. It's... I hate it. The fight ends with Travis cutting off her hand and then begging for her death. Travis attempts to clear the air and connects the tapes he watched and fighting style he learned from a Master Jacobs. While unsure fully, he seemed to be a sort of idol to Travis before his passing and most likely adopted this sort of style. Shinobu doesn't believe him and demands him to kill her again. He walks away, rejecting the offer. When immediately confronted by Sylvia, the two hash it out on sparing her. Sylvia clearly admits it to being a stupid idea, to which Travis claims that he wants her to live and become stronger to challenge him again. To me, Travis here never seemed convincing. Another big thought is that the idea of killing a woman was too much for him. Evidence to that later, not just some random hat pull. Or the idea that she was still in high school could do something to it. Of course, the other obvious reason could be due to the respect he held for her father, and the whole idea of her entering the UAA was to find and kill her father's murderer. Out of the reasons we have seen, it appears to be the most noble in effort, at the very least. Sylvia seemingly gives and lets Shinobu live as well, but she is seemingly disqualified and loses any standing in the UAA. While not the best introduction to her character due to the shit fight and constant taunting, I think Shinobu is the first instance we truly get to see in the game shift to something a bit more. I will admit a lot here is pulling from in between the lines, but it begs to put on display other ideals and conversations rather than a game to kill people just so your loser protag can have sex. However, if you haven't played the game, you may not fully see what nonsense I'm pulling from. I think something I like from the game proper here is the overall story remains goofy and relatively unserious, but still having deeper themes to look into. Even in many of these potentially serious moments, it's filled with quips or other jokes. It allows the game to not be too ham-fisted with the approach and have the overall unserious tone while giving some cornball like me context to pull deeper from if I wish. Games can be unserious, games can be fully serious, but Suda51 is somebody who can clash the two and have it work in my opinion. Even with the designs, we are lured in with two assassins that seemingly don't need you to give them sympathy. Then we get Shinobu, and if you think the direction fully shifts, well, we get to Destroyman. There were moments in the game that give you time for some introspection. You also get zero time to think on it as a psychopathic superhero cosplayer shoots his dick cannon all over you.
This is where it gets good. Good night.
Lack of knowledge again is here, but the pre-fight cutscene sells the character for how insanely entertaining he is. Starting out as a postman who seems way too polite only to be a conniving, backstabbing little asshole of a fighter. Travis gets way too many "you fell for it" awards here and somehow is still able to walk out of this fight with all body parts attached. Anyway, Homelander's estranged brother here is a wacky fight, but I overall like it. The calling of all his destroy moves is cheesy, in the most intended way so, and just fuels the intrigue. Destroyman himself almost feels like a snapback reality to Travis. Any reservations or doubts about this ascension through the ranks when clashing with Shinobu are more or less ejected full force here. Dr. Peace and Death Metal were both semi-honorable in their duels, but were hearted killers. Shinobu was as well, albeit one that Travis seemingly took a little bit more sympathy in. Destroyman is the antithesis to an honorable fight, and his rank fits the cowardly nature he holds. He takes advantage of people, guised as a Clark Kent type persona, mild-mannered and agreeable, only to kill people without having to fight. This may be why he sits at rank 7 and doesn't have a higher placement, but that's digging way too deep here. Personality, design, music, and fight are all excellent here. I think it's a standout ranking fight as it's all the aspects of the world of Stand and Destroy and NoMoreHeroes that shines here. The villain that perfectly encapsulates the Suda51 design, I would have to say.
It's over anyway.
Please, help me.
There you go.
While we have gotten flash bits of many aspects of the UAA, I have skipped over a large component. The cleaning crew. These are the underrated duo of Talbot and Weller. Talbot is the larger one and Weller is the shorter lad, and is also coincidentally the same one who leaves voice messages after every ranking kill to inform you of your rise in the association. They are very integral to the overall game. I'm kidding. I mean to actually talk to you about Sylvia. Sylvia herself is a mysterious character by nature, and even in the game's own way, she is portrayed. While flirty and supposedly promising sexual relations with Mr. Touchdown, she is extremely cold and standoffish at other times. Now to her defense, scenes like Travis getting too handsy with rubbing her down of oil makes a justified hostility here. He acts like a middle schooler googling the words big boobs on his family computer at 11 p.m. Of course, all that stuff aside, she gives Travis a call and sort of pep talk prior to each of our fights. If you played the game though, pep talk is misleading. It's more of just harassment, predicting Travis's death and seeming rather confident in his loss. It plays into the concept of Travis being such a down bad loser with so little self-respect that he shrugs all red flags aside. It's very toxic and strange to watch unfold, but I'm sure that's part of the point. We aren't really dealing with respectful and morally sound individuals. Her distance can be funny though. Maybe it's a constant reversal from flirt to wishing for his death to somewhere in the middle. Sylvia is a strange woman. Her mood flips more than her wardrobe, and much of the UAA is left up to interpretation. We don't really know how much control this association holds. There is a lot of money moving around, clearly. Sylvia herself is seen at clubs, shopping for new clothes, or is on a war-torn battlefield. What the fuck? She is the main associate of the UAA for us, and it's even unclear what level of authority she holds. Does she organize the fights for the others as well? Is each assassin assigned their own abusive baddie to elicit sex upon victory? This is something at least you can ponder for the time being. Sylvia herself, and to an extent, Travis's overall view and personal beliefs. Anyways, after our beach scene, we get to visit our latest assassin to fight. It goes to show we still have a lot of personality to see here too. This here is Holly Summers. While a rather striking appearance, looking like a Metal Gear Solid character, she is less striking in her demeanor. A small conversation begins where Summers has a melancholic and cool-headed approach to, well, Travis. Over their convo, the mood shifts and Travis seems rather flirty to our lady here. Lured in by her rationalized aura, he gets trapped in one of her pitfalls and barely becomes a nice misty hole in the ground. As a player, you too could feel lured in by the increasing aggro of the assassins, and as a direct follow-up to Destroyman, the lineup is an intentional mood whiplash. Holly is not deceitful, just advantageous of Travis's rash attempts to begin the fight. The fight itself it's fine, I guess. While I question the amount of grenades on her or the mechanics of the missiles that fly out of her prosthetic leg, the main gimmick is trying not to become victim to her dozens of pitfalls. It leads to a bit of quick time event, and I cannot say I love this fight. It still sets her apart from the other fighters we have seen to this point. After her fight though, we get a very interesting cutscene. At the edge of Travis's blade is Holly, who does not fall victim to her surprise. We saw this with Shinobu as well, and while you could argue the idea of Travis not wanting to kill the daughter of one of his idols and proxy teachers, both are women, and is confirmed by Summers herself. She calls it into question, feeling Travis hesitate. It is the first time we really get to see into this action of the apparent chivalrous attitude he holds. While a bit dated, he seems to be of the mindset that he cannot kill a woman, supposedly. Seemingly disappointed, Holly explains the indifference that gender means on the battlefield. These ranking fights are to the death, and Holly lost, meaning that she now dies as a loser. It is similar to those classic samurai deals of honor versus dishonor in terms of fighting. It's better to die fighting, I guess, than live as a failure in the eyes of the UAA. While lecturing, Travis sits there stunned and unable to agree or defend his actions, so it's kinda just inferred to be the truth. At the end, she admits to finding it a little attractive all the same, but places a live grenade in her mouth, killing her. It is a pretty shocking death for Travis, as he seemingly had many things he wanted to ask her. Once the cleaning crew arrives, Travis actually has a moment of reflection and assists in burying Holly on the beach here. He never did get to ask her for her name, something he receives from Sylvia but cuts her off when she attempts to give out more details of her past. It's hard to fully read what Travis felt here, but to me it was not to taint the memory he wanted to keep of her, or maybe he felt he didn't deserve to hear about her life. He apologizes to Holly for dishonoring her in her last moments and states that he loved her soul. A genuine good character building moment for our main lead here, and acts as a massive catalyst for the remainder of our game and even series. Whether Holly was correct on Travis's hesitation or not, it gave him some actual reflection and a moment to alter his way of thinking. I like the idea too of having our protagonist with massive flaws and go on a way of changing it. Moments in works of fiction like this are very refreshing to me. I love to explore the concept of something that conflicts with modern society and norms and try to rationalize it. Guess you could just look at it black and white and go, everyone in this game is a massive piece of shit and murder is bad. Brave take, soldier, really. The look in the morally gray situations is oftentimes my favorite depiction in video games. Most works have characters that fall into this, and it is by far the most interesting of the cast when they are done right. Life is hard. Humans are complex. It's what makes relationships most of the time. Bit of a soapbox on depictions of characters, but it's what makes Travis Touchdown a good character in my eyes. Is he a bad person? Yes, no shit. Early in media literacy, we learned that the protagonist does not mean the hero. They aren't the good guy all the time, but damn it, I want my playable character to do better or grow and change. Most people probably do. It is why the "you are actually the villain" plot twist can still hit just as hard. While I already talked about the origin of the title, the name NoMoreHeroes works when dissecting the actual hero of this story. This game is not shy to tell you that there are no good people. There are no more heroes. With how this story goes, the title goes from being a good and catchy title to something that is a 10 out of 10 in its execution of the encompassing narrative and its more subtle themes. Back to the game, though, we have 5 more spots to cut through to our max rank. As I've already gone through a few times, tonal whiplash is a real thing here, and we bounce from an introspective to crazy character development to more insanity. Well, the name of assassin number 5 is Let's Shake. We get to the deserted straight away and see this peak designed character on top of a massive machine. You ever just see a character or watch a small scene with them and think, man, this fight is going to be the best fight in the game?
I'd say, but like right here is where I'd put my fight. If I had one.
So the fight gets cut in half by the mysterious man. This is a lovely trope Suda loves in these games where we get a boss fake out. Of course, there's still a fight for us with the man. He goes by the name of Henry, and Travis takes a massive interest upon glance at the purple beam katana sported by his newly founded rival. Henry seems to be somewhat aware of Travis, and after an exchange of insults, the two begin to fight. Except you get double tricked and get a second fake out. Sylvia appears from nowhere and abruptly stops the fight before it can begin. Sylvia's reasoning is the fact that Let's Shake was the target, and he is now dead. This gives Travis rank 5 all the same, but he's still just as pissed as some Irish bastard jacked his kill and now has dipped in the last few seconds. I question how Sylvia appeared and Henry disappeared when the literal environment is a flat desert with 0 objects to gain cover, but that's probably cause video game logic. The match ends there, and Travis technically ends in a victory, but it definitely feels cut short. I mean, you still had to grind out all the side jobs and pay the entrance fee, not going to get it refunded, unfortunately. We had a level, albeit a very basic linear hallway, but now we miss out on a boss fight. Some of the highlights of this game, especially when our opponent was a punk rock guitarist with an earthquake cannon, virtual boy scope, and shitty German accent.
Oh yeah, I feel a good undulation. Your rambling is excellent. I think I'm going to lose the bowel control.
So let's talk about Let's Shake. Surprising no one at this point is the lack of info on our assassin. Even more so as our encounter ended faster than Elijah Wood's appearance in Spy Kids 3D as the guy. According to the game's text itself, he's a Singaporean punk rock vocalist from an unknown band. I ask again about the accent being German, but I don't know, I guess I haven't been to Singapore myself to corroborate the validity. At least the design otherwise fits his alter ego. The machine he stood upon was called the Earthquake Maker. This is a sentient robot with the brain of its inventor, Dr. Shake. Is there a relation? Probably, but that's up for grabs. This was a massive war weapon and probably would have messed up Travis, but the comedically long 10 seconds it takes for the machine to warm up made it possible for Sir Henry Motherfucker to swoop in. That's it though, I genuinely love this character and the 30 seconds of screen time he took up, and I'm so pissed we never got a proper battle with him in this game. Now moving on to character number 2 that has a lot more relevance, Henry. The opposite of Travis in many ways is the well-dressed, smooth-talking, and well-mannered Irishman. Aside from that, we see a similar weapon known as the crossword, a purple beam katana with 4 smaller beam spikes as a sort of guard at the hilt. This is the most fascinating thing to Travis, as it's the first character to actually have one outside of our lead. Being the nerd he is, I'm sure Travis is itching for some cool epic samurai duel. All this being said though, there's nothing we were able to muster from our interaction with him. Henry seemingly had something on his mind to discuss with Travis, but was cut off with mockery and getting egged on to start a fight. He comes into play later for our games, but at least he gives us a bit of intrigue as someone to watch out for as we continue. We still end up with a rank higher than what we had 30 minutes ago, regardless of how much battle-based blue balls Travis received. We get to our next ranking, and to me it always felt a bit odd here. I mean, we only have 4 more fights to go until hitting the coveted rank 1. I understand we had 10 ranks to pass through, but time flies, especially when you get cucked out of the amount of actual boss fights. Frickin' Henry. Number 4 takes us to a theater and watching the performance of a one Harvey Moisevich Volodarsky. Thank God the game said the name, or else my pasty ass would be fumbling over these words. And even the pre-level cutscene seems to stroke out a bit when trying to yell out the name.
Let's see what you're made of, country boy.
No backstory to go on here, Harvey's a sort of stage magician or an illusionist, having a similar over-the-top theatrical vibe to that of people like Houdini, David Copperfield, and having some noted resemblance to Chris Angel. That is the idea behind the man. I can assume a successful performer, but can secretly enact his killings with smoke and mirrors. Leads to a rather cool concept, or the idea of stage performance as a whole. Kids see this and believe it to be like magic, especially when the circumstances seem inescapable. It isn't explored as much as I could hope it for, but I'm a sucker for when media can have extra details about the world. In this case, going into many of the characters' double lives. We have seen it a bit. Dr. Peace was a private investigator and Destroyman was an amicable postman. It can almost add a layer of believability to the world if one wants to try and argue that the game is super unrealistic, as where are the police or something like that. It is a video game, I really don't care that much about realism here, but I appreciate when details are laid out for somebody looking into the finer bits. It has no bearing on the boss or fight. I mean, the whole idea behind him was probably just to be a cool set piece, and I'm not complaining. The fight is rather fun getting into it. After we get a little cutscene of the magic beforehand, we can actually become victim to it in battle. One of them is an insta-kill if you cannot break out of the box. I appreciate the forefront for a performance, even though it literally is just Sylvia in the crowd, but you gotta respect Mr. Longname's dedication to his art. The incorporation of that does not feel too out of the norm. The game clearly showed you beforehand, and even lesser tricks like a simple screen flip is fine for the fight. It's jarring, but nothing stopping me from adjusting and having a good time with the fight overall. Harvey's a fun character, and one that has a short but goofy and energetic personality to him. I guess our ascension has been pretty good so far, as we get a little demo of our victory lap. Travis seems to get a little intimate with Sylvia post-battle here as well. Only took like 6 near-death experiences, but we take those victories when we can, boys. But I guess the full victory is still not too far off anymore, with only 3 more assassins to take down. I mean, how hard can it really be? With little in the way going forward, we set up our rank 3 fight. The routine and gameplay loop is thoroughly cemented, and I'm sure most pick their favorite games or missions to play endlessly through to the end for the ever-increasing entry fee. We are given the task of going to an outlying city known simply as Speed City to confront what Sylvia refers to as a powerful witch. We hop on the bus and take the trek out there. Not much is known about the city aside from the abandoned nature of it. This is a reoccurring issue in the No More Heroes franchise where outside locales are dropped but not really explored in depth. Now, the real answer here is that there's really no point to speculate. I'm looking too deep, but I crave looking into these games, as I've stated. Why this video is probably going to be as long as it is. Suda51 can be a master at giving me just enough information to be intrigued, but really never enough to fully satiate me. It is fine in some aspects, but can fall flat in other regards. Getting to Speed City, it is simply a post-apocalyptic ruin. Not void of humans, though, as we see a battle taking place. Our trainer, Thunder Ryu, is dueling someone with a giant laser cannon, and we arrive at a time where Ryu is on the back foot. Travis attempts to help but is denied by his mentor, as Ryu restates that this is a proper duel and one that he shall not interfere on. An odd plot point here, but Jean, our cat, got out of the apartment and has been roaming, suddenly making her way down here. This catches Ryu off guard in between the volley of lasers, and it ends up being his fatal mistake. Ryu loses the clash and dies in front of his pupil. His final request is for Travis to continue on to learn the ways of the sword. It's a devastating loss for Travis, and one that I do find it very hard to connect with. With my earlier rant on character depth and details, this is one of the times where I feel like it just exists with very little context. The intro of the game zooms by many things, but one situation we really don't explore at all is Travis's relationship with people like Thunder Ryu. Back in the Shinobu section, there is a brief mention of Travis learning from Master Jacobs, but only from recordings, not in person. It's clear that a large majority of actual training was done with Ryu before and during the events of the game. You can see the clear inspiration for a samurai and using a beam katana as well. We do see Ryu typically between every boss fight as he has new training for us, but aside from questionable training where we may strip naked and spread our cheeks, there is not much else to go off of. I wish a deeper relationship was established, as this is the first actual cutscene of Ryu in the game. There should have been something earlier to at least establish a mentorship or connection in my eyes, as Travis has very little people to call allies. A small comment from the fight with Harvey tells us that Travis lost his parents. Outside of family, there is Ryu, his mentor, and Bishop, who we see at the video store and is a personal chauffeur when Travis is too lazy to grab his own bike.
Shit like this won't fly.
I'm sorry, Bishop.
That's kind of it. It's clear that Travis is kind of a loner, and I only really bring this up to highlight the idea that Travis's circle is small. And I think this would make the death of Ryu hit harder if we knew more about or established their relationship. They're great, but one that we shouldn't dwell on much longer. With the clear lack of population display in Speed City, we can assume that our ranked fight of Speedbuster is the owner of the massive laser cannon. After a short morning, we see the other side of the canyon housing an old woman with a shopping cart. Not a random homeless lady, but assumedly our target. The two have a short spout where Speed stalls to somehow transform her shopping cart into this cannon. Unsure of why it quickly reverted back after killing Ryu, but not the issue at hand. If anything, the pre-fight cutscene was a good indication for what to expect out of our fight. Don't hit the damn laser beam. Being rank 3 and our canonically oldest assassin in the UAA, Speedbuster would seemingly have a large amount of experience fighting to the death or something, but the fight, well, it certainly tries something different. First off, the best part of the fight is the song. It absolutely slaps. The arena for Speed here is a long straightaway, and there's really no way to reach her before the release of her Destroy Buster Wrong Assassin. The idea of the fight is bobbing and weaving between the dilapidated buildings and taking cover in the alleyways to avoid the Buster Beam. Getting hit has us go into a quick time event to prevent being vaporized, as well as pushing us back substantially. The obstacles attempt to stop you like random assassins and some doors blocking traversal. Definitely more of an extended level with a gimmick to avoid than a boss fight. Unfortunately, this is all we're going to get at the end of the trail because it's a bit goofy to end it. Smacking some telephone poles to the domino effect will eventually break the cannon of Speedbuster. Having no alternative to fight back, Travis now has a free reign to walk up and go for the slice. Although trashing Ryu prior to the fight, Speed admits that he was a good man and says that Travis will be one eventually. She takes a loss and accepts her death, one Travis gives to her after getting a kiss from the witch. Damn, that's twice in a row here Travis is getting action. The witch comments lead me to believe that it came from the transforming cart and the beam seemingly being supernatural to, I guess, others, in a sense. With her comments, there seems to be some sort of history between Ryu and Speedbuster, but that line of thought stops there. The only other speculation I can muster is the idea that Speed City is named that due to the destruction Speed caused, and also why it remains in disarray. Aside from the aforementioned, it sits for me as a lackluster fight, especially in a gameplay sense, but let's continue. Moving to number 2, things continue to get more confusing in the world. Getting to the ranking fight itself, we are tasked with heading back to Destroy Stadium for a deathmatch to occur there. This time, however, we head to the basement for a very interesting encounter. We come face to face with the second ranked assassin, known as Bad Girl. This game has subtle and also not so subtle red flags to the spiral that Travis could fall down, and none are more prevalent than getting here. We have seen an array of characters and then followed a journey. With death metal, he encapsulates all that Travis wants, but is shown to be tired and simply done with the so-called lavish lifestyle. Travis seems undisturbed and takes him out quickly. Similarly, Dr. Peace doesn't get much remorse from Travis, and he kills him either way, which is a shame considering the broken connections with a massive warning sign. Shinobu is seemingly doing this for petty revenge and at least got to live and tell the tale. Destroyman was a snapback to ensure Travis that he could maybe hold some moral high ground with the killings. After all, these guys are insane, right? Ollie was a wake-up call to Travis, as it may be the first introspection Travis has, and treated his opponent with dignity and respect, one that has lasting ramifications for the protagonist. Harvey and Speedbuster hit a sense of loneliness for Travis. We find out Travis has no family and then lost his mentor to an opponent. He's doing all this for what, exactly? A girl that may put out, so to speak? He doesn't ever seem remotely interested, even sending a note saying to not look for her before the ranking match of this fight. And Bad Girl. She is the pinnacle of this ladder we have been climbing. Cutting to the chase, the later titles have extended the lore of Bad Girl, but most of it still does not change the context of the first game. I will hold off on that context as well, as it doesn't change much for the current situation. As a second assassin, it comes off as jarring to see a young girl brutally killing subs with a baseball bat underneath the stadium. The frilly pink dress, white stockings, and overall cutesy appearance is juxtaposed by the brutality of her own free time. even more so that she takes her breaks by binge drinking beer as her only source of sustenance. There's no glamour here, just an alcoholic masochist who gets off the killing if her fetishized outfit and the bondage victims really don't make it any more apparent. She rants about the mundaneness of her life and how it equals out to that daily grind, sounding like a 9-to-5 job. Well, self-admitted to be an angry alcoholic bitch, she doesn't intend to fix that life either, probably since it's her comfort. A clash of ideals occurs when Travis seems to condemn the killing, calling her not an assassin but a perverted maniac. This sets Bad Girl off, as she feels he has no right to differentiate the two. It makes it begin into a battle, and once again I need to mention the music. Leather for Breakfast is a banger. Please listen. Bad Girl's a standout fight for me, one that will trip you up probably. She's pretty difficult and can hit hard, but is most notable for her insta-kill. Over the series, a few bosses has these insta-kill attacks, and not all of them are overly infamous. Harvey had one, but it was well telegraphed and rather easy to break out of. Another boss we have yet to get to has a fair tell as well. Bad Girl has a tendency to break down and start sobbing. Makes sense since she is, well, not mentally all there. It is your chance to heal, jerk off, or get a free swing, and the switch up is that she has two crying poses, one with her hand on the bat still. You get close, she gets you into a kill, and one that I find to be rather clever. It is most likely bullshit upon somebody first dying, but I come to respect it, and indicated by her yelling fuck if you also didn't fall for her ruse. It's definitely one of my favorite fights in the game overall. She really just cements some of the darker and more serious themes in the game, while still having that overtly loud, bombastic, and extremely voluptuous character in the series fashion. I don't mean to, but at the same time, I do mean to harp on this placement in the adventure. She is in all sense a step down from the last few fights in a grandiose sort of performative way, but that's why it makes it such a perfect fit here. At the cusp of it all, you ask yourself, is it worth it? Once the battle finishes, Travis stabs Bad Girl through the abdomen, but is still not going down as she proceeds to grit through the pain and proceeds to attempt to cave your skull in. Travis is actually at a disadvantage here. Caught off guard and in the manic state Bad Girl is in, she refuses to lose. Travis yields and relinquishes the victory, enough time for Bad Girl to succumb to her blood loss on top of him. After such a harrowing event, Travis is definitely stunned to say the least. To continue on the events leading up to this, the cleaning crew of Talbot and Weller arrive as per usual, but no Sylvia in tow. They give the congrats in person, but with what just happened, Travis takes the win and passes out. We are rank 2 now, 1 to go, but with everything that happens, Travis finally snaps. From possibly a combination of the events and the sudden shift in Sylvia changing demeanor to now up and vanishing, it weighs on Travis's mind. Did she quit, run, or something worse? Well, funny enough, Travis had a business card from Sylvia since their initial meeting to call an office number. He finally attempts to give the call to inquire about Sylvia, only to find something rather shocking. On the line is an older woman by voice, although with a similar accent to Sylvia. This is Sylvia's mother, who drops the fact that the UAA never existed. Here she explains Sylvia's involvement as a professional con artist who has roped in countless idiots in the past. This begs a lot of questions on if all the people fought were duped too and what true influence Sylvia truly has, but of course, Travis, he is furious. Mean to us, this already was a flaky reasoning to ascend the ranks, but now, not even getting laid and simply killing people for what? Nothing, clearly. Hearing the rage, Mrs. Crystal asks what rank Travis is, and was disappointed to hear rank number 2. Despite all this, she tells Travis to finish the fight and get the rank 1 spot. I mean, I guess he did make it this far, but maybe eliminating the rest of the supposed UAA is for the best too. Regardless, we have our betrayal to dwell on as well as to prepare for one final fight to reach the top.
The good man finishes what he started. Fight to the end. Your most formidable opponent awaits in the castle. Now, off to the Garden of Madness.
There's a lot to discuss in the events that have happened, but it's best to keep going as some questions will eventually answer. Others will have more questions, but at least we'll follow up with some context. After our phone call, we begin our final stretch to reach the supposed strongest assassin in the world, or so we thought. A1 Dark Star. The level's a bit weird with a Ghost Thunder Ryu giving directions in the Lost Woods sort of level layout, but with what I want to highlight is at the end of the level, per usual, we actually hear from Sylvia. It's whiplashed a bit to hear from her, like we're still falling for her game, but yes, we really are. At the apex of this level has us reach a lone castle guarded by one of the rawest designs in the game yet. Darkstar has such a hard design and such a cool weapon, you just know this fight's gonna be peak. But as we know with the most hyped up bosses, those are the ones that get cucked out of fighting. In all of this, Suda51 can make a fucking Star Wars joke. So much for not ripping off Star Wars, the enemies look ripped off from the series, Ryu is just Obi-Wan Kenobi Force Ghost, Darkstar, Death Star, helmeted individual who has a heavy breathing cycle and then spouts the line, "I am your father."
A joke. You don't remember me, Travis. I am your true father. Blood does not make such mistakes.
And with all the aura of this Vader ripoff farms, he dies by a chick punching him straight through the dick. Nice. Even more confused, we come face to face with a girl similar to Travis's age. This comes out as a repressed memory, as somebody he wanted to forget, but clearly could not. This is Jean, shortly revealed to be Travis's half-sister and somebody he had feelings for in the past. Put away all the banjos and incest comments for a second, as he never knew any relation until now. It is all revealed that Jean is indeed the half-sister to Travis, but also is a killer of her parents. Something that was only briefly glossed over, but just the fact that they were not alive, no mention of murder. From what is most likely repressed trauma, Travis saw his parents murdered in front of him. Clearly, he doesn't talk about it much. Travis met Sylvia one night at a bar, similar to his story in the intro, and through Travis's drunken despair, Sylvia concocts a plan to swindle him into the UAA. That we finally see the true reason Travis is doing this for the first place, and I mean, sex wasn't promised until after death metal, meaning he seemingly killed 2 men for no apparent reason. No, in fact, it was all because Sylvia promised to help him get revenge on the woman who murdered his parents. Of course, this revelation also comes with more baggage, as Jean did not do this out of pure evil. She explains in the cutscene, albeit sped up to high hell, as to quote-unquote not jack up the age rating. Luckily, it was genuinely sped up and can be slowed down to actually hear the dialogue, so here you go, just listen, and I mean, it is fucked up.
You are my half-brother. You know that manga called Miyuki? The Japanese one? Well, it's like that. Your father abandoned my mother to run off with your mother. It broke her heart beyond repair. She killed herself. Knowing I had nowhere to go, he took advantage of me. Ever since I can remember, he molested me. We lived in this rotten apartment, and I was his slave. Every day I cursed his soul. I swore that I would kill him one day. But cursing didn't change anything. That's when I decided to become a killer. With no money to pay for training, I paid with my body. But to you, I bet that son of a bitch looked like a hard-working family man. That was all an act. He didn't give 2 shits about cleaning up my life. So I decided to clean it up myself. That's why I do what I do. And I got what I wanted. Killing him in front of your very eyes.
That's my story.
Imagine that. You and I. Brother and sister.
Now you see what I've been through?
With all this out in the open, Travis still vows his revenge, claiming vengeance begets vengeance and the two clash anyways. Obviously both have their reasons, but it's at least something Travis seems to sympathize with at the very least. Not too much is spent on their prior time, only that Travis had feelings for Jean for some time, all while she knew about their relationship and resented Travis and his mother for simply existing. The battle ensures one that is a mix of emotions, with everything dropped from the front of the UAA to the real motives of Travis to Jean herself. Funny enough, one thing is clear to me post all of this. Sylvia did keep her initial promise. She told Travis she would help get revenge, and he has his one and only shot now. This battle is fine. She has annoying dodge overall, it's pretty solid I'd say. He is quick and fast, befitting of the MMA fighter diction she kinda has. At the end, Travis, through potentially hesitation, gets struck in the chest by one of Jean's blows, but is actually saved last minute by Shinobu of all people. Dropping in from the sky, not seen since their initial fight, she cuts off Jean's hand. This allows Travis to regain composure and strike down Jean. While the Shinobu part's glossed over, I speculate that this was an era of saving Travis since he spared her on the idea that she would be the one to kill Travis in a rematch duel or something down the line. Regardless, Travis is number 1 in the UAA, but we know now that that truly didn't matter anyways. The hollow victory is Jean was most certainly a victim too, but his revenge was achieved and I guess at least you can finally rest. This last shot does show what appears to be Sylvia watching from a distance still. The phone call stating she did fall for him over time, but as far as Travis sees it, this was simply another lie. It is not the ending you would have expected at a surface level, but it still drags out the ideas that I mentioned from Bad Girl. You could say the obvious, that killing is wrong, and even more so that this game's true nature was revenge, and many stories hold the trope of revenge being a fool's game. No one wins, right? It is a neat way to portray, as yeah, the game never says this part out loud. The nature of this game is typically kept at a surface level satirical viewpoint rather than a deep introspective view on morality. But that doesn't mean it isn't there. It does help with the construction of Suda51's games, as they typically have this sort of writing, one that I think is hard to pull off effectively. It slowly sowed the seeds of this being a battle that had no winner. The assassins themselves can symbolize different aspects of human nature and also mirror Travis and his story. It genuinely comes together in a package that is, while rough, extremely genius. What, the true ending? You want me to discuss that? I don't even know how. Would you like more mindfuck? Yep, as if to show this is still a video game at the end of the day, we have some loose strings to tie up in one of the most insane endings to suddenly drop intensive lore. So let's start. You have the ending cutscene where Travis is taking a shit, reminiscing about the game, and then some dude cuts down your door and demands a fight for your #1 spot. Not really looking for honorifics, he prepares to kill you and the game ends. Well, you get all katanas, specifically the expensive one made from Thunder Ryu's blade, and you can engage in the actually true ending. This time, the man for your throat is cut down by motherfucking Henry of all people, jacking another kill of yours. Henry tells Travis to finish up so they can settle things, and yeah, we intend to settle things. With no UAA, no Sylvia, no poop in the bowels, your true final boss is your Irish twin brother fought in the motel parking lot while the song that plays just 5 minutes of guitar solos known as We Are Finally Cowboys. So Henry is your twin brother, dropped after the fight out of nowhere, but damn it, this final boss is so peak. It is just a duel of two equal swordsmen and is my favorite fight in the game. There is no wonky phases or anything substantial, it's just the most random but perfect end to this twisted game. He's probably the hardest fight in the game too, not to mention him holding another insta-kill. It is one that is extremely easy to detect, but I feel like you gotta get hit by it once, because it's actually one of the most stylistic finishers in the video game. Holy fuck.
It's time for you to sleep.
Not only the brother aspect is the only revelation to this fight, but also the fact that Henry apologizes for his wife's games that she put him through. Henry is revealed to be married to Sylvia long before the events of the game. All this is portrayed in the most comedic and downright absurd way as the two clash swords while sprinting down the street.
Let me ask you, how do you plan to put an end to all of this?
Wait a sec. You want me to tie up all these loose ends? I don't think so.
You're the protagonist. I'm just a cool, handsome foil who happens to be your twin brother. Hate to say it, but it's your job.
The game ends with the two clashing as credits roll, leaving the outcome undetermined for the player. After the credits roll, their picture is shown in a museum where a young girl revealed to be named Jean is escorted by an older Sylvia, seemingly. Once again, a lot of contents are left up to interpretation, but you ask, what does this all say in the grand scheme of the game? Well, the ending is wacky and downright stupid in the best way. If this game was any more serious in tone, many could argue that this is a shoehorn ending with an exposition dump because, well, why the hell not? And in reality, that is 100% what happens. It gives a boss battle that feels a bit more grandiose in scale and ties up some of the overall questions and motives behind some of the key players. It then leads into a seemingly finale, but it's also open for sequel bait, something that we clearly have the hindsight of confirming, but it's still cool. Stated many times throughout this video, I have displayed the inherent satirist plot while talking about the deeper issues that the game tackles. It parodies many parts of pop culture and a general modern-day apathetic narrative of its inhabitants. The people are desensitized to a plotline that in all aspects should be shocking, a trope not found alone in NoMoreHeroes. There's surface-level dark themes like taking the life of another, or that capitalistic mindset of work shitty labor until you drop dead from exhaustion, and how you never seem to have enough money. The farther you delve, you can psychologically break down a seemingly one-dimensional Travis touchdown to a character that is a lot more complex. By most people's morals, he is a genuine scumbag, but in this world, well, he is definitely not the most irredeemable we see. Most narratives we see in media have a lesson or meaning behind the art. Stories that are told display a character shift of the protagonist or some other important person. While dwelling on what NoMoreHeroes wants to display in the vacuum of the first installment is a bit tricky. I want to extrapolate that there is an overall air of intended dissatisfaction. There are multiple boss fights skipped, or the goals of Travis being muddy for 95% of the journey. At the end, we get duped, as the game was entirely fabricated and there's no just dessert seemingly for Sylvia, which could be viewed as the primary antagonist when all of this is said and done. Even so, there's seemingly a shift in her overall view, and it could almost be interpreted as a regret of leading Travis down this by the end. The fact that there is no resolution between Travis, Sylvia, and by extent other characters like Henry or Shinobu is deliberate. From death metal to bad girl, we saw a slow descent in the assassin's life and how this is a world Travis knows actually nothing about. There is nothing waiting for him at the end. Avenging the death of his parents by killing Jean is also simply left in an air of incompleteness. Jean was rather justified, and I would agree that Travis had justifiable intent to avenge his parents, as his father's actions were kept in the dark from him. It seems phrased as a mercy kill to end the torment of Jean and also close that chapter for Travis, something that has seemingly been haunting him for years. Jean was somebody he knew and cared about, so the irony of killing one person he cared about to avenge other loved ones is really not lost at all. NoMoreHeroes ends in a fashion that almost feels like it abruptly stops. Clearly we don't get that resolution that many wanted, and that was the point, I feel. It keeps the undertones of the entire game held as a dissatisfaction and almost feeling duped. In that respect, this is a genius way to end it, but even when I write this, I cannot help but assume that I clearly overthought it. This was also up the alley of Suda51 to ask pull an ending or just make it as insane as possible. So now I'm conflicted, as there is another explanation known as it's just a video game. Which, yeah, can be generalized for literally every video game to deflect any critical thinking, but Suda51 also could be playing the it's just a video game trope for the humorous bit. I mean, this evolved a lot, finding an explanation, but if that doesn't sum up this franchise, then I really couldn't explain it any better. As preface, this is a cult classic game on the Wii that has a dedicated fanbase, me included. One of those types of media where I enjoyed as a kid because cool, edgy, but can still enjoy the gameplay and look at the deeper themes and if they're actually there or one of the many straws I can grasp at. Taking out the pretentious bullshit for a second, this game is just a blast to play through. The boss fights are unique and memorable, the humor still gets me at times, the gameplay loop is going from satisfying combat to quirky monotonous minigames, but done so in a way that I never felt it as too ham-fisted. I have seen the fan critiques of many aspects of the game being boring, and hell, I don't really have any defense. It is the age-old idea of a game providing a message, but at what cost? I am 100% behind the idea of many parts of this game being delivered extremely intentional and not just being ass gameplay design. That's an aspect I simply cannot fix for those who can't look past some decently sized issues in the gameplay at the cost of story. I do urge many to give the game a try, however. The length of the adventure is pretty short, and I think there's something to love from the game even if you come out with a couple chips on your shoulder. It translates well into the modern console, not having too many distracting differences, and the themes and social issues that are tackled still hold up, as depressing as that may seem for it encroaching 15 years of release. This is a special series for pretty much everything in this game hitting so many aspects, and it genuinely is hard to replicate this feeling. The future of this series is not super certain. With the interviews, it feels like it will simply ride on whatever mood Suda51 is in that day. It still was a one-of-a-kind game then, as it is now, and I'll take something that shakes up modern choices in lieu of the safer option. It may not be a must-play for everyone, but I still regard it as a personal favorite on the Wii, and one that has gotten me at a perfect time in my development. Always glad we can have teams like this to assist in breaking the mold of games. It is needed, and a series like this is a shining example of how to buck the norms and provide a tantalizing experience that never really seems to fade from your mind. In some of the best and worst ways possible, I think, too.